Welcome to Tourism Talk. I'm your host, Mary Hammond, from the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau. And my guests today, I have two of them. Bonnie Browning, she's Executive Show Director with the American Quilter Society, and Rosemarie Steele, the Marketing Director at the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau. Welcome.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm glad to have you both. Bonnie, seems like it hasn't been that long. I can't believe it would have been 12 months since we sat here the last time.
It is, and you know, we've been busy working on another show, and we have some great plans for this year's show. And of course, you know, we always have a few things that are new and different.
Always. That's what keeps it exciting. Plus, you know, you also have that comfort of coming and knowing your basic layout, but then in seeing all the new exciting electronic attractions we have this year.
That's right.
And Rosemarie, what can I say? I'm glad to have you here. Nobody realizes that you're always there in the background, and I'm glad to have you here, and you have as much knowledge about what's going on as anybody. You've worked so hard on the new April brochure, which we love it, with all the new Moda fabrics with the dogwood patterns. And I look forward to everybody seeing these special fabrics that have been designed for the Quilt Museum's 20th anniversary.
Yes, and it's really pretty. I can't wait to see it myself.
I know, we're anxious. Well, the Quilt Show will be here just before we know it, the end of the month, at the end of April, a week late because of Easter. Easter's late this year, so April 27th through the 30th. But we all know Quilt Show really starts earlier in the week.
It does. It'll kick off like we normally do on Tuesday evening with our awards presentation over at the Four Rivers Center. And of course, all of our sponsors will be on hand there to present those awards. And you know, I think everybody loves it when we fly in those big winners where they get to see them for the first time on that magnificent stage.
Well, and I just love it. And we all go as an office, the staff, and we love it when the names are called and they squeal like the price is right and come running down the hall to get their prize.
Yes, and you know, they don't know. There are a few of us who know who those winners are, but the winners themselves don't know what prize they've won or if they've won a prize.
One of the fun things in sitting next to Rosemarie during that is that she's jotting down what are the big colors this year, because you never can tell what's going to be a color that it's like everybody decided that all right, let's all use yellow this year, you know, and you see it and you see the different trends, and then also looking at pieces that would fit into our own marketing, and it's a lot of fun.
It is, and of course, you know, it is really the accumulation of all the work that these quilters do. And of course, you know, we're here really to promote those quilters, to be able to dedicate the show and everything to those quilters and the quilts that they make.
What's the prize money this year?
We'll be giving $120,000 in prizes.
That's fabulous.
The Janome Best of Show winner wins $20,000. And then we'll have $12,000 each for the AQS hand workmanship, the Bernina machine workmanship, and the APQS, American Professional Quilting Systems, long arm workmanship. And then we give $5,000 for the best wall quilt and $3,000 for the best miniature. And those are the group of quilts that become a property of the Quilt Museum after the show's over. Those are all purchase awards. And then of course we have 15 categories, and those categories, the winners win $1,500 for first, $1,000 for second, and $750 for third place.
That's there's everything from the group quilts, we love those, to is it there with the young persons?
We don't do that one anymore, but we have the first time entry, which
first
is
time entry.
really
That's
popular. We have that in the small quilt category and also in the bed size category. And that is someone who is entering this show for the very first time.
Regardless of age.
Regardless of age or regardless of how many quilts they've made. It's usually a pretty tough category, but a lot of times we would hear that people were intimidated to enter our contest. So this category makes it possible that everybody in that category is entering for the first time at this show. And so now they're on even footing, at least as far as this show's concerned.
I've really loved the small miniature quilts. I admire the small stitching, the work. I can't even see them. They're so small, but they're really fabulous.
They are, and you know, of course, the whole scope of a miniature quilt is it must be in reduced scale. And so you should be able to look at a picture of that quilt and not be able to tell that it's 10 inches by 10 inches. instead of 100 by 100. So that's there's a real art to that, and we have some really good ones at our show every year.
But then the art with that long arm quilting, that's a whole different art, but it truly is. There was a time when there were attitudes about those machine quilts, but they take just as much of a skill. It's just a different type.
It certainly is. It is, and it's judged the same way.
Yes.
They still have to have even stitches.
Right.
They have to have no starts and stops showing. They have to have good tension on their machine. You're right. It is just a different animal,
yes.
But it's judged exactly the same when the judges look at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's kind of look at what the week and what we have planned.
Okay.
And, we're looking here at the registration guide for the show. We've got them at the Visitors Bureau if you would like to stop by 128 Broadway and pick one up and look at all of the classes and the special events and the lectures. What am I thinking? Is it, Rosemarie, 5,000? Is that the figure we use?
That's the figure we've heard, Bonnie. 4,500 to 5,000 people actually take classes in Paducah over a year.
I can tell you our staff is at the office right now putting name badges in letters to be mailed out to the people who've registered up till now. And there are thousands of letters laying there on that table waiting to be stuffed. It'll take us probably all week to get those all ready to go in the mail. And so we do this first group we mail those out. So anybody that's registered as of Monday will get it in the mail. Anybody that registers now will have theirs processed, but it will be held for pickup at the show. Mostly because we just don't want to risk putting it in the mail and having them not get it.
I love the name badges when you can see all the numbers of the many classes and lectures and special events they're attending. And I mean, some of them have a name badge full of numbers.
Oh, yes. In fact, there was one yesterday as I was helping them do some stuffing on these that had 14 different items, and it ran down off the end of the paper that they were going to have to hand do that one and reduce the size of the font to be able to get all those numbers in.
That's a quilter who will sleep well.
Oh, I said, well, she must be here for
everything.
the first time, because after you're here for a time or two, you know not to schedule yourself quite that close. Well, let's look at what we have going on. Of course, the first thing we do is the All-Star Review, which is mini demonstrations by our instructors. And it's very popular. You come in and they're in 3 different rooms and you move at your own pace. You get a handout from each of those instructors so you can take notes if you want to, or just remember when you get home what they talked about.
That's Mary's quilters, my friends who come. They love the All-Star.
Yes.
They love the variety.
Well, and it's about 10 teachers, and so they get to learn 10 different techniques for $15. So for the money, it's a really good deal. But we do that on Tuesday and Saturday.
Tuesday, that's what I say, before the show
Tuesday
begins.
and Saturday. And then the awards is on Tuesday evening at 5:30. Then following the awards, we run those winning quilts over to the convention center so we can get them hung up for the sneak preview. And of course, this is a benefit for the Quilt Museum. And it's a $20 fee to come to that. But we do limit the number of tickets that we sell so that people can walk through and it's not quite so crowded.
It's worth $20 to go in there when you're not like a sardine.
That's right.
To really enjoy the quilts.
We have a lot of people who sign up for that every single year because
yes.
they are able to get in there when it isn't quite so crowded. Then the museum will be doing their silent auctions, and they'll be doing that on Wednesday and Friday from 10 until 4:30, and that's in the hallway of the first floor hallway of the convention center. And then of course their live auction is Thursday night. I'm going to kind of skip while I'm on the museum here. Their live auction is on Thursday night, and the live auction items will be in that same location all day on Thursday. And then at 5 o'clock, they're going to move them out to the food tent because we're going to do the auction out live outdoors this time. And the other thing that's really neat about the auction this year is we will be doing live webcasting from the show. Mostly we'll be doing our lectures. We'll have a camera set up in there throughout the whole show. But then we'll be doing a few special events, the awards presentation and the live auction. The benefit of doing it live this time is that they will be able to do call-in bids and bid from their home on their computer while the auction is going on. And so this is really huge, and we think it will just make it so that anybody that wants to participate in that auction will be able to get their bids in there.
Well, that is the time to buy a quilt. It really is. I mean, I even got one last year, so very proud of it. But are some of these are these auction items?
Yes, every year AQS does a contest, and the items are donated to the museum so they can be used at their auction. And this year we did It's in the Bag contest, and we had 7 or 8 different categories. And these are two of the bags that we literally just judged this morning before I came in here. The one on the bottom, the small one, you want to pick that one up, Rosemarie? Sure. This one is just beautiful in that it has hand inking and watercolor, and this is a handmade paper rose.
Wow. Quilting has gotten to be much more than quilting. All these embellishments, and you really are, it's a fiber art.
It certainly is, and they're just expanding their repertoire of the materials they're using. Every time we have a new event, we have something that's new and different. And then, of course, this is gathered silk ribbon across the top, and it's held together by a really nice little magnetic clip on the top. And I think Rosemarie already has her eye on this one.
I'm thinking she may not put it back on the table.
It's beautiful.
And the second one was in the purse category, and this one was in the tote bag category. And so if you can maybe just open that up a little bit. It has nice pockets on the inside,
yes.
So where you're able to store your things. And these will both be in the live auction, and then we'll have some others that will be in the silent auction. I think we had about 25 entries altogether. So if you're in the mood for a purse or a tote bag, we have a whole variety that will be available during the show. But anyway, we will be publishing shortly the phone number for the call-in bids during the auction, and so we hope if you're not able to come to the show and participate real, that you'll do it online.
Now, you're American, what's your website?
AmericanQuilter.com.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes, AmericanQuilter.com, and then you'll just click on the Paducah Show, and there's a button up there that says webcasts, and you'll go into that. You do need to go in and register, but for the auction there will be no charge. For the lectures and the other events that we're doing, there will be a charge, but the auction, we want everybody that can participate in that. And then we do, in past years we've done what we called the AQS Book Fair, and we did it in the hallway there of the Expo Center. Well, we've changed the format on that a little bit to where we're doing the AQS Authors Roundtable, and it's 4 of our recent authors who will participate in a dialogue with Andy Reynolds, our executive book editor, and they'll do just kind of an question and answer series and talk about the things they went through in publishing their book, the things they found that were easy, things that surprised them, what it's like to be a first-time first-time author. And so I think that if anyone's interested in publishing a book, this is a really good thing to go to.
That would be very good.
Every year, our best-selling book always is our Quilt Art autograph, or our Quilt Art engagement calendar. And so Claudine Hansen, who is the editor of that calendar, will be on hand on Wednesday from 5 until 7 for the Quilt Art autograph party. And many of the quilters whose quilts are in the calendar will be there, so you can get them signed.
We've been thinking about one of our Japanese friends whose quilt was on the cover of that calendar one year. Help me with her name. Kiko.
Kobe.
Oh, Keiko Goki?
Goki.
Keiko Goki.
Yes, but I did see on her blog everything's fine for her.
Yes, in fact, I think from what I'm hearing, most of our quilters escaped fairly with minimal damage to their homes there.
We're thankful and thinking of
yes. Okay, then on Wednesday night from 7 until 9, we're doing the Quilters 1950s Fun Night, and this will be at the Carson Ford River Center, and it will literally be fun. Some of the staff of the American Professional Quilting Systems, APQS, I called them the APQS Rebels as the name of their group here, but Jim Langland will be on the keyboard and Mark Carahair will be on vocals, and they love to sing those 50s and 60s songs. So
that'll be a fun night.
It'll be a fun night. We'll be giving some prizes for the best 1950s garb, so get out your blue jeans and bobby socks and
I would
poodle
imagine
skirts.
Some quilted or pieced poodle skirts.
Yes, yes.
I think that's what we'll be seeing.
I think it'll be fun. Then the museum has a book signing with Mary Tatum for her book called Quilt of Joy, Quilt of Faith, Quilt of Life. She'll be at the museum on Thursday from 10 till 2. on, let's see here, we already talked about the auction. Another thing that'll be involved with the auction is Neil Ward from Neil's Catering is doing a grilled chicken dinner for us that evening, because a lot of us will be working and want to go right straight to the auction. So there will be food available out there at the food tent that evening. And also on Thursday evening, Charlotte Ann Gotti is doing a funny thing happened when I made this quilt, and this woman is just a hoot, and it's already sold out. Yeah, so it's a fun event, and people have already booked all the seats for that one.
Well, it's time to go online and try to meet some of these folks ahead of time. And that's fun with Facebook, that you can go do that.
Do you know, I attended an event one time where Charlotte was speaking, and I had never heard her speak before, and I was teaching, and of course they wanted the teachers to sit down front. Well, I came in and I took a chair at the back, and they kept saying, Bonnie, go down over here. And I said, no, I just want to hear her. I just want to see what she does. You know, we might want to have her at Paducah sometime. And lo and behold, she was so funny, I stayed the whole evening. And we booked her after that, so it's fun to have Charlotte back. The museum is also doing a book signing for their new quilts from an old favorite. This year's theme is orange peel. Great quilts in this year's contest. And so that will be fun, and the book will be available over there.
That's a favorite. Everybody loves that contest, and we all love the antique quilts, but then seeing how they're reinterpreted is always a favorite.
Right.
I actually got to see the exhibit, and it is absolutely beautiful.
I got to judge the exhibit.
Oh my gosh.
I was one of the judges on that
Well, I haven't
contest
seen
this
it yet,
year.
so
Well,
I can't
the
wait.
quilts are really great, and I know people will enjoy seeing those. And those quilts will be hanging as a special exhibit over at the museum during the show. And then Friday night we have Ricky Timms.
Oh, yes.
Ricky Timms, and this year we titled it An Evening of Inspiration and Entertainment with Ricky Timms. You know, he's been here now, I think, since 1998. We've had him every single year, and I can tell you, every year his program is different.
It sells out every year.
Yes, and you may hear a song or two from last time and a story or two, but he makes a real attempt to do something totally different for us every single year.
If he didn't have those songs or stories, everybody would be yelling out from the audience to hear them. So
Yes,
he
well-
knows that he needs to just include them.
And you know, he can't get by without playing Danny Boy every
He's
time.
so talented. And we've used his quilts in our publications. Actually, he's on the cover of our visitor guide.
He's talented on so many levels. He's a very talented quilter, as well as, you know, a musician.
Yes. He plays the flute. Sometimes he plays some other instruments. And of course, he always plays the piano. And then Rosemarie and I both worked with the crew last year from the movie Stitched.
Yes.
And they will be debuting, the Paducah premiere of that will be at the Quilt Show. And we're actually offering it at 4 different times. On Tuesday from 4 to 5, Wednesday 6 to 7, Friday 6 to 7, and Saturday 4 to 5. And then it also will be shown down at Maiden Alley at some other times during the Quilt Show, and that's in your brochure, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I hope everybody will get a chance to see that. It features Carol Fallard and Hollis Chatelaine, who had a special exhibit at the museum last year, and Randall Cook, who is one of our male quilters who wins a lot of prizes with his artwork. Anyway, they were followed for a whole year. They were in Paducah, they went to Houston, they went to their studios, and as they prepared for some of these big competitions of what it was like for these quilters to do that. So I can't wait to see it myself.
The trailer is great, and if you go to our Facebook page for the Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau, you can watch the trailer, and it's really nice, and it's so much fun to see Carol in there.
Yes, it is. Well, anyway, so I think that'll be a really big thing.
Yes.
Now, our sanctioned events this year are, of course, the Quilt Museum, and so if you have guests coming to town, you want to make sure, they need to make sure they go to the museum to see both the collection quilts and also the special exhibits that they'll have on exhibit.
And they have
during the
extended
show.
hours. I mean, they're opening 8 a.m., staying open till 6 and 7 during the show. So there's
That's right.
no excuse not to get there to enjoy both the show and the Quilt Museum.
And those hours are posted on the AQS website, and they're also on the museum's website.
Right.
So if you're interested in that or how to get there, you can find that easily on their website. And then for the second year, the annual Rotary Show at the Civic Center is also one of our sanctioned events. And this year they're going to have floral quilts from Sue Reich's collection. Sue has a magnificent collection of antique quilts. And this year they're going to be flowers, and the title of it's called The Quilted Garden. And she'll be doing some interpretive presentations on Tuesday through Thursday from at 10 and 3, and on Saturday at 10 and 1 o'clock. So if you want to hit one of those, you want to make sure you're out there. And of course, to both of these events, you can ride the trolley or the free shuttle buses.
The free shuttles, yes.
So if you have your car parked downtown and don't want to move, you'll be able to jump on those and go out and be able to participate in
Yes.
those events.
And we have to thank our community partners who actually fund the buses. These would be people like the Rotary and like Hancock's and the mall, the hotels. If somebody, and they stop at these places that are funding this. So if you are someplace and the shuttle's not stopping there, we all need to say, come on, be a partner in this. Help us get our visitors around town, make it easy. Because the quilters do bring a $9 million economic impact.
$20 million.
20.
They bring a lot of money, Mary.
I don't know where the 9 million came from.
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm exaggerating, but I didn't. I was, 20 million. That's straight from Bonnie and Rosemarie. That's good. Well, and I was looking at some of the different lectures and classes, and here we are at the sesquicentennial of the Civil War, and I saw you have quilts for Union soldiers in the Civil War, and I thought, well, that sounds like a wonderful lecture.
Yes, and we each year try to schedule some historical, and it was the appraisers who advised us that the Civil War sesquicentennial was coming up, and so they submitted those to us so that we'd have something to celebrate that while they're here at the Quilt Show.
And I don't know Pamela Weeks, but I look forward to hearing her.
She's one of our certified appraisers.
Okay. Which there are classes right before the show starts.
Yes, and during the show.
And during the show,
we do one on dating that is held during the show. They do two different appraisal classes, one on insurance appraisal and one on fair market appraisal. And both of those are already full. They start Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the third one is Thursday. Friday is the dating class. And then, of course, the appraisal committee is working with people who want to become certified. And so they do testing while they're here. So that's something that we do here at Paducah every single year. And also the certified appraisers on the second floor of the convention center will have a booth, and I believe that number is 3804 on the second floor of the convention center, where they can accept walk-in appraisals. If you have a quilt that wants to be appraised, and it can be either a new quilt or an antique quilt, they will do that during the course of the show for you. So if you have one, you can take it to them on the second floor of the convention center.
But you probably can also learn how to care for that quilt. And I know the Quilt Museum sells the acid-free boxes and paper to wrap your quilts.
Yes, and not only that, but they'll have a nice exhibit of some old quilts.
Good.
I call them the moldy oldies, the appraisers. That's not my thing. I'm more into the modern quilts, so my affectionate name for them is the moldy oldies. But they will bring in some of their quilts to use for display in that booth. So not only will they, if they want to get an appraisal, but they actually can see some nice old quilts too. Mary, one of the other things that's happening, of course, we all know that the Executive Inn has been knocked down, and they're busily over there cleaning up the rubbish to get that out of the way. But that will provide a little bit of additional parking there on the grounds where the hotel stood. And it also, because of that, we're changing our bus route so that you will enter, the buses will enter on the same road where the stoplight is that went into the main entrance to the hotel.
Yes.
And then they'll go back and they'll go along the flood wall and they'll come up right next to the convention center.
Where the old silver saddle was.
Where the old silver saddle was. But they'll pull down all the way to the sidewalk. So that's where the bus pickup will be. We'll be right there, almost at the entrance of the convention center. And charter buses will make that same route, but they're going to come in and go on down and stop right in front of the food tent, so that we will get them in there to be able to drop off their people.
Sure. Well, everybody will be ready for something to drink or strawberry shortcake.
Oh yes, the Boy Scouts will be there for sure.
Always. We'd all be disappointed. Well, time's kind of getting away from us, but anything that you just really tell us to look for this year?
Well, I'd say, you want to be sure that you go to the museum, to go to the Rotary, Ricky Tim's, the awards presentation, our 1950s night, and there will be lecture tickets for almost all of the lectures. I think we only have one that is sold out right now. But about, 90% of our classes are all sold out already. So we're doing very, very well on registration this year. I believe better than we were at this time last year.
Well, the economy's a little bit better.
And then, of course, I think that let's get them in there to participate in some of those things at the Quilt Museum. They've got lots going on there. They have a fabric flurry where you can go over there and they'll give you a bag, and for $10 you get all the fabric you can put in that bag. If you have fabric you'd like to donate, they're accepting donations right now for that. And they're also accepting donations for the live auction. So if you have an old quilt, or you have some sewing tools or something like that sitting at home that you think, oh, it's time to clean these things out, the museum would very much appreciate having those for their auction.
And the quilters love little things that we may not think anything about. The old little sewing kits that really, I don't know if they're necessarily antiques, they're just little old sewing kits.
Or wooden spools.
Wooden spools. As
Those
many
kinds
little
of
things
things.
that you can even imagine. It may have been some old needles and an old paper packet that are still there together.
Yes.
There are people who would love to collect those.
That's right.
So think about supporting the Quilt Museum, a very easy way to support the National Quilt Museum of the United States.
And of course our hours,
Yes.
we're Wednesday through Saturday, April 27th through the 30th. Our hours are 9 to 6 Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and 9 to 5 on Saturday. And admission is $9 at the door, or $17 for a multi-day admission at the door. So,
Which is a good deal.
yes, well, so if you want to save a few dollars, you need to
Yes.
register now at www.americanquilter.com, and then just click on Quilt Shows and find the Paducah Show, and everything you need will be right there.
And if you go to AmericanQuilter.com, it'll take you right into Paducah.travel, because we are working together throughout the year. It never stops, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And don't let anybody tell you there are no hotel rooms around. There are. Go to Paducah.travel under quilting, and you'll get an updated list. In fact, it gets updated every week whenever we hear about hotel rooms coming open. And thank you, Paducah, for embracing the quilters, making them your friends. But be a part of it. Get down here, rub shoulders with them, meet them, support the Quilt Museum, and maybe enjoy something new and different over at the Quilt Show. We hope to see you downtown in Paducah. If you have questions, give us a call. We'd love to see you. Thank you for joining us.